Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever part of this crazy Saha world you are, whatever realms or worlds you're in, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you find yourselves in. You are very certainly welcome to my channel. Today I just wanted to talk about and express huge gratitude that I have. Huge gratitude that I have underlying all the time, underlyingly actually. But a lot of times it kind of bursts forth. And is there very strongly in my day, just in sort of not all the time, and not always on the surface, and not a constant thing, but always underlyingly, I'm grateful for these things. The first of which is having been born to this current provisional existence as a human, to be experiencing a rare human birth. So I'm very grateful that I had the right karmic causes in the past, from just enough generosity and just enough moral behavior or moral actions, I guess, to obviously steeped in poisoned with all kinds of other things, but enough in various lifetimes to come to fruition in this very rare human birth. So I'm very grateful for that, and the reason that's kind of the first thing is because and also to have kind of along with that, while mentioning the previous provisional lifetimes, previous rebirths, to have at some point in those rebirths have encountered the BuddhaDharma in whatever way I did encounter that, and to have made some kind of karmic connection with both, not just Buddhism and Buddhas, but the Amida Dharma, the Jodo Shinshu, the essential true teaching of the Pure Land Way. At some point, made connections with Amida, with the Pure Land Sutras, with the Pure Land teachings. So I'm grateful for that in past lives, and grateful for the good causes of the past that Amida has been causing, through my own karma, through my own, obviously all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas work within our karma, but so I'm grateful for that, that Amida Buddha has been working in my past lifetimes to bring me to this lifetime where, so now here's, why I'm so grateful for this rare human birth is because it's allowed me to encounter, because I'm in the human birth, I have had enough suffering and enough joy, a good, balance of the two, or not necessarily a balance, but enough of, enough suffering, but not too much, so that it made me seek out, what the problem, to examine life, examine my own life, examine life in general, examine reality, examine, and ultimately, eventually, and during that, at some point, encounter the BuddhaDharma, Buddhism in general, again, helped behind the scenes by Amida Buddha and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas working for Amida Buddha, in that sense, to help me encounter the Buddha Dharma, and then ultimately also not only did I encounter the Buddha Dharma in this life, I encountered the Amida Dharma, the true teaching, the essential true teaching of the Pure Land Way in this lifetime. So just, I can't even express the level of gratitude I have for those things, and for in this provisional human existence, rare human birth, it also allowed me to realize, and during this time, not only being a human has allowed me to see this, and with the help of Amida, obviously, but it's allowed me to see, to understand, to come to realize that my highest aspiration, all the spiritual searching I've done, all this spiritual searching and spiritual seeking and philosophical searching and seeking and examining and questioning and observing and reflecting and contemplating life, all that, and reality and all the rabbit holes I went down to in that sense, and all of that, the whole reason I was doing that was because what was behind that was my highest. I've now realized that the highest aspiration that I have is to become a Buddha. That is my highest aspiration. I've talked about that in a whole video before, just that alone. But in this lifetime, I've realized that. I've come to realize that is my highest aspiration. That's what was behind, though I didn't know it before I encountered the Buddha Dharma fully, in this life. I didn't realize that was what was driving me, but that is truly what has been driving my my search, my spiritual seeking, spiritual search, spiritual striving, spiritual explorations. That was ultimately what was behind it all, the whole time, and so grateful for that. And then to know that is my highest aspiration, and then because I have the Buddha Dharma and the Amida Dharma, I know I cannot attain that on my own. I know I am a spiritual idiot, bamboo, full of blind passions and karmic evil, and zero merit to be able to do any self-powered teachings. So my only, if I wish to realize my aspiration to become a Buddha, if I wish to realize Buddhahood or Buddha nature, then the only way for that to happen is through Amida Buddha, is through entrusting to Amida Buddha, wishing to go to his land, saying his name in faith, and ultimately to have Shinjin, to do that, to have Shinjin arise within me, which Amida Buddha causes to happen. Amida Buddha causes Shinjin to arise within us, and he's given us a way. He's given us a way to become more open, to become more receptive, to become more able to entrust through deep listening to the Dharma and all that entails. Through working with a good teacher and all that entails, working with a good friend or good friends on the path, and working within a good sangha, all transmitting, that all transmit the true teaching of the Pure Land Way as it was taught by Shinran Shonin and Renyo Shonin. I'm so grateful to know that. It's really hard to put into words, actually, even though I'm managing to a bit here, but it doesn't even begin to express the gratitude that I have about these things, and to have finally come to a point where I am doing that. I am doing the only practice of Joro Shinju, which is deep listening through all those things I just mentioned, by the power of Amida, empowered by Amida. And I truly now believe I will eventually, Shinjin will arise eventually within me. And I realize that the light is already given, the mind of Amida Buddha is already given, and the light and the mind of Amida causes the Shinjin to arise. And the transfer of, and through the transfer of his merit, I will, in this lifetime, I really believe Shinjin will arise, and I will, through Amida's power, attain the state of non-retrogression. When I say attain, I mean be really, Amida Buddha will attain non-retrogression for me in this life, so that when this life is over, I will immediately go to Pure Land, be born in Pure Land, and immediately become a Buddha. I believe that is a possibility now, and is a very real possibility that will happen. If you talked to me a year ago or 6 months ago, I'd be like, there's no way. I can't, like, I wouldn't say it was no way, but I was incredibly doubtful that could happen for me. Not that I doubted Amida, but I doubt myself. I doubt my own receptivity. I doubt my own ability to trust. I doubt my own yada yada yada, all that calculating mind, monkey mind, ape city. That's my ape city talking. But anyway, I'm so grateful for that now too, to really feel it is possible. I do believe it is possible that will arise eventually in this lifetime. So, also, in general, with the BuddhaDharma, you have, there's so much a different perspective in general, both with having, having the perspective of Buddhism in general, the BuddhaDharma in general, as well as the perspective of Jodo Shinshu. I'm so grateful to have that perspective, because it's such a different way of looking at life, of understanding what's happening, of thinking about things, about your own life, about everyone else's lives around you, about the universe, about everything. It's such a different way than any other of the 95 non-Buddhist ways, and that includes any other religion, any other philosophy, any other ideology, any other cultural or civilization set of perceptions, anything. It is a different perspective than anything that I have ever encountered anywhere, and it just, everything makes so much sense through Buddhism. Everything. So I'm just so grateful for that, because you just look at everyday events differently, both in the world and in my own life. It just gives me a different way to frame it than anything else, and it answers so many questions. It answers all the questions that need answering. It resolves all the questions that need, and resolves all the doubts that need resolving. In order to it answers far more questions than any other of the 95 non-Buddhist ways, hands down. Like, there's nothing that's even comparable. There's like a handful of questions that I think it was like 14 questions that Shakyamuni refused to answer, because they were completely useless questions to answer. They were completely useless questions to ask, and useless questions to answer in terms of the times and beings that we're in. It would not help our mind stream at all to understand, to it doesn't help our mind stream to even ask those 14 questions or to try to understand them. So there's certain questions we don't even need, like there's certain questions I kind of used to have that I just don't have anymore, because it makes so much sense that just doesn't need to be answered. And when I'm a Buddha, I'll understand the answers. And there's a lot of things like that, not just the 14, I think it's 14 questions, but not just the 14 questions, but just various questions like that are just, that that just because I'm a spiritual lady, because I'm a Bambo, there's no way for me to actually even ask the right question, let alone be able to understand the answer to a lot of things that I might ask. And so any of that, I can just, I don't need to, I'll know that when I'm a Buddha. I'll know, not only will I know that, it will be what is when I'm a Buddha. I'll just know perfectly all things everywhere in all times, all at once. So it's, I'm grateful for that there's a lot of things I can just go with. I used to preoccupy myself with and worry about or think about and try to resolve an answer that I realized, okay, it's just, first of all, my monkey mind, the Ape City, council, the Ape City Council in full, in full raging session, trying to figure these things out in their all the calculating ways of the monkey mind. So I don't need to answer those questions. We don't need them answered. And the questions that, and most of the questions that other 95 non-Buddhist ways, Buddhist ways, the 95 non-Buddhist ways answer, most other religions and philosophies answer, a lot of the big questions they answer, you don't really need. It doesn't really, it's nothing useful, really, ultimately. And though they're quote-unquote answers, and when I say their answers in quotes, their answers or their framing of things is actually unhelpful and unskillful. Not only is it unuseful and doesn't really give you any real answers to anything, it is actually detrimental, the answers of other religions. Whereas any questions or doubts or understandings that Buddhism can give, that we can understand in our limited bamboo way, in our limited within our karmic limitations, anything that we can, that Buddhism can answer for us and can somewhat resolve for us. And I say somewhat, I mean that's the failing on my side, on the human side, on the bamboo side. To whatever extent is what I should say. Those, Buddhism answers questions for us as bamboo. It's all useful. It's all helpful. The questions and doubts that are answered and resolved. It's all helpful. Whereas the 95 non-Buddhist ways, when they answer questions and doubts, they only lead to more questions and doubts. Often they that are endless, and the answers that they give are, like I said, detrimental. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for Buddhist cosmology, to have Buddhist cosmology, to kind of be able to view things in the world and in my own life, because it just makes sense when I look at it through the lens, through the Dharma eye, through the Dharma lens of Buddhism. Everything, when I look at it through that lens, through Buddhist cosmology, through the teachings as best I can understand them of Anatman, no self, and the emptiness of samsaric existence and Buddha nature and all that stuff, when I look at it as best I can in my limited way through that lens, and how all the worlds of Buddhism are constructed, and not the worlds of Buddhism, the worlds of samsara are constructed out of individual and collective karma, and my place in that, everything makes sense. Things makes much more sense than anything by far that I've ever encountered in life. So I have that as well. So I'm very grateful for that. And there's something else on that related to that note, you know, and that goes for not just the worlds, but the times we live in. We live in a descending kalpa, and we live in the age of Mappo, the age of Dharma decline, because of the incapacity of humans and their declining ability to be able to understand and practice the Dharma, to the point where we're now in an age where we can't. Any ordinary human, foolish, bamboo, spiritual idiot cannot at all practice any self-power teachings, which is why we need a Mina Buddha and we need the Mina Dharma. And but to also know that puts in perspective things happening in the world, things happening in my own life, my own reactions to things, my own events in the world unfolding. It just makes you go, okay, yeah, that's right, that's where we're at. That's what's, it's Mappo, it's the declining kalpa. So that's another thing I'm super, super grateful for with regard to all of this that I'm talking about. It's just a totally different way of life than anything else that I've ever encountered in life, or anything else I can perceive in the 95 non-Buddhist ways, or in ideologies or philosophies, or anywhere in the world. And cultures that really embrace Buddhism fully, properly, as best they can in this time, I think are, for the most part, in a lot of ways, much better off by far than non-Buddhist countries. And the more they embrace the Buddhist ways, the Buddha way, the BuddhaDharma, and incorporate that into all aspects of culture and civilization and daily life, the better off they are. So that's it. So thank you very much. Namo Amida Butsu.